Welcome to Talking with Santa on Waycross Community Media. You're watching us, if you're watching on December 5th, you're watching us live, so stay tuned. In just a moment, you will be able to email or call in and talk to our celebrity guest himself. We have in our studio today, all the way from the North Pole, in your busiest time of year. Thank you so much for taking time. We have the celebrity of the season, Santa Claus. Thank you so much. And your right-hand lady, Mrs. Claus. Thank you so much for coming with him also.
Dana, we're so happy to be here this year. It's every bit of a pleasure to come down and talk with all the children live on television. And this year it seemed a lot special because of the fact that there's snow here in Cincinnati, and Santa loves snow a lot. I know that makes some people unhappy, but Santa sure loves it. Mrs. Claus, do you have anything to say?
No, you know I loved it, and the reindeer love it. Yes, we're very happy to be here.
I'm so glad. And
Yes.
you've come to our studio for many years now.
Oh, this is quite a few years that we've been coming over to the Waycross studio. And we expect to have a lot of phone calls from all the children out there and some emails for the children that are out of town watching on the internet.
Absolutely. So I'll stop right now and I'll say, if you're watching this program live on December 5th, you can email santa@waycross.org, and that should show up on your screen, and you can call the phone number on your screen if you're watching it live on December 5th. And go ahead, call in, and we'll make sure you get a chance to talk to Santa. Now, this is a really busy time of year, so I appreciate that you're willing to take some time off. We're close to the end now. We've got 20 days left. What kind of preparations are you looking at now?
We're getting very close to the end, Dana, but this time of the year things are pretty much under control. We have a lot of the elves working all year long to get the things in the proper order that they should be. And we're getting ready for Christmas. We just hope everything goes smooth from here on out.
That's fantastic. So there must be a lot of planning and controls and lists to get everything on the right track and the right schedule to happen. You have a deadline.
Well, the planning,
you can't go late.
Yes, the planning takes quite a bit. We used to do all that planning on big, long spreadsheets that we did by hand. But now with the use of the computers and modern tool and technology, it's a lot easier to do the planning, but we still have to get the work done.
So that makes me wonder, with technology and a lot of the planning moved to technology, there's a list, and every kid knows about the list. Naughty or nice. Is that still done on paper?
Well, thank God there aren't that many kids on the naughty list. Mrs. Claus can tell you how we take care of that, and she can give you a definition of what's really naughty and what's not naughty.
Well,
This is important. This time of year, kids, pay attention.
we know there are not any bad children. What happens is that they choose to do something naughty, and they have elves on a shelf now. Our elves have been running all around all these years, and now we have elves right there in the home, and they report to Santa, and we make a list, and we know who is naughty and who is nice. And being nice, it just means to be kind to everyone. That's all. And hugs for mom and dad and grandma and grandpa, and for your siblings. Yeah, just be really, really nice to people.
That is a really important thing, to have the naughty and nice defined, because a lot of kids are worried right now which list they're on. If a kid thinks they might be on the naughty list, is it too late for them to do anything about it?
Well, we don't think it's ever too late to get off of the naughty list. Sometimes the things that you do are a little bit more naughty than others, but it takes a little bit longer. But like Mrs. Claus said, the thing that you have to do is try to be nice to everybody, be considerate to everybody, make everybody as friendly to you as you want to be to them. And you can always get from the naughty list to the nice list. It just takes a lot of practice. And I think Mrs. Claus hit the nail on the head when she says, one really important thing to do is lots of hugs for moms and dads, and especially for grandmas and grandpas. Believe me, I'm old, and I know old people need a lot of hugs.
That's important, because hugs are free. And sometimes kids think there's nothing that they can do to give someone. And that's a really important part of that. And it's really important to know it's not too late to get off the naughty list. I think that's something for everyone to know. Does that apply to grown-ups too?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For a lot for grown-ups. Every once in a while, Santa ends up doing something that he probably shouldn't do. Mrs. Claus keeps a separate list for Santa. And
Okay.
sometimes I make it on the naughty list for at least a day or so.
Okay, so
But then I come out of it and I try to be good and act like a real person again.
that's important to know that Santa has his own naughty list.
Sure.
That makes it a little easier to hear when you know he's checking the other list.
That's
To know
right.
that you've got a list too. That's nice of you to share that with us. Now, if you are watching live, you can call in or you can email that information, and it's on your screen. And I think we have a phone call. I think we have Connor and Jack and Kaylee on the phone. Do we have you here?
Yes.
We do. Is this Kaylee? Or is this Connor or Jack?
That sounds
Connor.
that sounds to me like it might be Connor. Connor, are you from Arizona, Connor?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I've talked to you before on the phone, haven't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I
you're very good.
I remember that. And you've got a little brother named Jack.
Hi.
And
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Jack. And a brand new baby sister. And what's your baby sister's name?
Kaylee.
Kaylee, right.
Yeah.
She's the center of attraction right now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
This is her first Christmas.
Wow.
And
Right.
how are your mom and dad doing, Cassie and Max?
Good.
They're good?
That's good to hear.
Are you
Yeah.
being good to them?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I sneak in and peek in your window and I see your toys laying all over the place. Do you try to pick them up?
Sometimes.
We try.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
That's good. Anything you want to ask Santa or Mrs. Claus?
I want a QUA drone.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Oh.
I don't
pretty
know.
fantastic.
Drones are pretty important things to
Yeah.
have, especially for little ones. You're
And
not you're not
stuff.
you're not 15 years old yet, are you? No?
No.
I think you're only 5 or 6, aren't you?
6.
6, that's what I thought. But maybe if you get a drone that maybe your dad can help you play with it. There's a lot of room out there in Arizona to fly drones.
Santa, do you think that's
Yeah.
a present for
Maybe.
Connor, or is it a present for Dad?
I don't know. That might be a present for with Connor's name on it, but Dad will play with it all the time.
Jack, what do you-
Jack?
Dad and Chuck and a remote control helicopter.
Remote
A
control.
remote control helicopter. Mrs. Claus, do we have some of those?
Oh, we have them, but we always have to check and see if that's the right toy for the right child. And we just have to really take our time with that.
That's very important.
Just remember, we
Thank
can't.
you.
Just
Oh, you're
remember,
welcome.
we can't bring everything. What should we bring Kaylee? Should we bring her a lot of new clothes?
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
What
Diapers.
diapers?
Diapers
Oh,
are good. Yeah, for
Jack,
babies.
Jack, do you help change Kaylee's diaper, or do you run when it's full?
I change her clothes sometimes.
Change
You
her
help
clothes
change your clothes.
Aw.
I'll bet that makes your mama happy.
No.
Anything else you want to ask Santa?
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas to you.
Oh, how nice. Thank you so much.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Well, no, but we've told our other friends out here in Arizona that you were available tonight, so hopefully you get some other calls, and thank you very much for taking the time, Santa and Mrs.
Oh.
Claus.
Oh,
Well, we certainly appreciate and we love taking the time for all the children.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you
you guys
so
have a
much.
great night.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Well, you see how
Bye-bye.
easy it is to call
Bye-bye.
in. I love it when we get calls, when we have such an international celebrity in our studio. Our calls don't just come from the Waycross area, they come from everywhere. So I love getting calls all the way from Arizona. And you can be the next call if you're watching on December 5th. The number's on your screen, and go ahead and call. You can also email santa@waycross.org, and I have a lovely little device here that will let me get that right here in the studio. So that was really fantastic to be able to get calls from Arizona.
It's so nice to talk to everybody, no matter where they're from.
And you have, of course, you always remember every kid that you talk to, but they've called before.
Yeah, they've called before, and I can remember the ones that have called before a lot easier than everybody else individual. So if I don't know exactly everything about you, I'll have to apologize. I'd have to get my book out and check everything.
You're looking at a lot of kids' names every day.
Yeah, there are just tons and tons, or I should say millions and millions of children.
There are awful, and you get cookies or treats from these millions of children. Now, I have questions for you about that, but let me ask Mrs. Claus. Do you do anything ahead of Christmas to help him get ready? Because he's going to get millions of treats on December 25th.
Well, we eat rather healthy at the North Pole, but when Santa is out in the cold, going all over the countries, every country in the world, he has to put out a lot of energy. So he needs those little cookies or treats, whatever you like. If you like it, Santa will like it. It doesn't have to be cookies. It could be an apple if that's what you like. So you share what you like with Santa.
Well, that's important. We don't have to worry about Santa's calorie intake because you are burning it all on Christmas Eve.
That's correct, Dana.
Okay.
Mrs. Claus makes sure that Santa eats a lot of vegetables all year long. Santa Claus even eats broccoli. My favorite happens to be corn on the cob and string beans, but I'll eat most other vegetables too. It's just the right thing to do, and it makes me very, very healthy. It's hard to stay healthy when you're getting older in your old age, but you have to try.
Now, when you're traveling to different countries, do the treats change as you go from country to country?
Well, the treats do change from country to country. There are different types of cookies in every country that you visit. Sometimes they're soft cookies, sometimes there are harder cookies. There are a lot of different flavors that Santa gets. And sometimes you get different types of candy in different countries too. It's important that whatever you get in the country that you're in, that's part of their tradition for their Christmas, and everybody has different traditions.
Are there any particular treats that are left for the reindeer in these different places?
Well, a lot of times people will leave, like Mrs. Claus said, they'll leave apples or carrots. And Santa Claus is so used to eating apples and carrots that sometimes it's hard for him to give them to the reindeers, but he always manages to make sure the reindeer are taken care of. The reindeer like anything that you leave for them. They like especially vegetables, nuts, fruit, and what did I leave out? Anything?
Just the grains.
Grains. I knew
all
that
the
was
grains,
important. I
yeah.
left the grains out.
Yeah.
Now, do the reindeer, when they are back in the care of their stable, have a strict reindeer diet? Is it different for flying reindeer than for regular reindeer?
Well, Mrs. Claus takes care of some of the elves that take care of the animals, so she might give you a little input on what she does.
Yes, we have elves that are assigned to the reindeer to take care of them. And we cook together up at the house, and the elves are always busy. They're helping with the reindeer and the other animals. We have horses. We have a big farm up there. So everybody has a different job, and we make sure everyone gets a nice, delicious, but also a healthy diet.
That's excellent. So it's not just Santa's diet you're keeping an eye on. It's the reindeer and the elves.
Yes.
Right. Everybody thinks that we have only 8 reindeer, plus Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, but there are a lot of reindeer up at the North Pole. And we put them all to work and make them all do right things.
Now, I can't even imagine how many or what kind of count that it would take for operations to get ready the kind of thing that's going to happen on one night, December 25th. Well, really, December 24th, right before, leading into that.
And on the 25th, he still has a few homes that he has to hit.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I do have an email. I have an email here from a little girl named Caitlin, and she says, please, I should point out she says please, and it looks like we've got some more information coming too, so that's coming too. Caitlin says, Dear Santa, I would like a kitten for Christmas. Can I also please have some Claritin so I can play with the kitten? So apparently, Miss Caitlin would like a kitten, but I believe Caitlin is allergic to kittens. Is there something in Christmas magic that makes that all work out?
Well, Caitlin, I don't think there's anything in magic that's going to make everything work together. The kitten comes, you're going to need a lot of Claritin. But if the Claritin doesn't work, then maybe the kitten's not a good thing for you to have. Kittens are a lot of responsibility. I don't know if you've ever had animals before, but kittens need a lot of work. You have to play with them a lot. You have to feed them. But most important, Caitlin, is your health. If the cat or the kitten is going to be too much of a problem for your health, I don't think the Claritin's going to help you the way that you want it to. So kittens might not be on the menu for your gifts.
Okay, all right. Well, Caitlin, there was your answer directly from Santa. Thank you so much for sending an email. Now, if any of you watching live on December 5th also have a question and you're not near a phone, go ahead and send an email, santa@waycross.org, and we can get your question answered just like Caitlin did. Now, we have another phone call. I believe we have Noah on the phone. Noah, are you there?
Hi. Yeah.
Noah, are you 6 years old?
Yeah.
Ah, that's fantastic. We have Noah calling all the way from Hamilton.
Noah,
Yeah.
Noah,
What?
do I know you already?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did I visit you at your grandma's house?
Yeah.
Yes. And what did I tell you at grandma's house?
I forget.
Oh,
Well, it's a good thing he called back then.
yeah.
good.
I think Santa Claus said that you got to give lots of hugs to your mommy and daddy and to your grandmas and grandpas because they love hugs.
Do you remember that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what are your little brothers' names, Noah?
What?
Who are your little brothers? What are their names? Your little brother and sister?
My little brother and sister? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
James and Alexia.
James and
Ah,
Alexia.
yeah.
I don't think Alexia was very happy to see Santa. What do you think?
No, not. She's not really too happy.
James was very happy.
James was very good to see
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah.
What kind of questions do you want to ask, Noah?
Well, I got a question.
Okay.
Who's Saint Nick?
Who is Saint Nick?
That's a good
Is
question.
there somebody else? Is there a different Saint Nick or are you Saint Nick?
Well, Saint Nick happened many, many years ago. Saint Nick was a very, very rich person, and he wanted to make sure that he took care of all of the poor children. So he got a lot of food and a lot of fruits and nuts, and he made sure that the poor children had a lot to eat. That goes way back. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it's in the 1700s. But I may be off on that date. But ever since then, the tradition of Saint Nick has gone on, and little children like Saint Nick. Sometimes, like Alexia, they don't like Saint Nick, but eventually they all do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
What else do you want to know from Santa?
Nothing else.
Does James have any questions?
Do you have any questions for Santa? I do. What's your question, baby? I want to go to shop for Christmas.
You still want the Ghostbuster thing for Christmas. Well, Santa's working on that. I can't promise anything, but we'll see what we can do, James.
Okay.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you, and take care of your baby sister.
You will.
Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay.
That was well considered.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
And you
Christmas
have
to
a
you.
very Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Thank you for calling in.
Merry Christmas. And he knew who to call. He asked for
knows.
Ghostbusters. He said, "Who are you going to call?" He
Call
said, "Santa."
Santa for
He called Santa.
Ghostbusters.
And if you're watching now, I can't resist a segue like that. If you're watching now and it's December 5th and we're live, that's who you're going to call. You can call the number on your screen, and you can call Santa just like they did, and get a chance to talk to Santa. Thank you so much for that segue. What could I do with that? Now, we mentioned Rudolph. Well, you mentioned Rudolph. We were talking about the reindeer, and that made me think about all the holiday movies. Some of them we have been watching for years and years and years, and some of them are new. Do you have favorite holiday movies?
Well, I'm not so sure that Santa has a favorite holiday movie because I enjoy watching all of them. I don't know that I've ever seen one that I didn't care for. There was one Grinch movie that I didn't like as well as some of the other movies, but I watched it anyway. But this year I think there's a new Grinch movie out, and I may be able to see that pretty soon.
I admit I have not seen that yet, and I'm looking forward to it. And there's something about holiday movies that help you kind of pause for a little bit on the busyness that happens this time of year for everyone. Not as busy as you are, but everybody seems to get a little bit extra busy this time of year on their schedules, with their school, with work, with Christmas parties, and I think those holiday movies make you stop a little bit and remember Christmas Eve.
Well, Mrs. Claus always tells Santa to slow down and enjoy life. Mrs. Claus, you want to give some inspiration as to what we do or what you encourage people to do?
Well, I just think that they have to feel for other people and take time. And the movies, like you were saying, they do make us take a step back and look at everything and see what's happening. So
That
I think it's important to take some time for yourself and to sit and meditate what Christmas is all about. And that way you'll think of your family, you'll think of your friends, and you'll think of a lot of nice things to do.
That actually makes me think of this time of year, and when we do this program, a lot of times kids are thinking you might say, the master giver. You are very good at giving. You are a professional giver. And the kids that call they're thinking of what they're going to get on Christmas, which of course is what we do. But we can be little mini Santas in a way if we practice giving. Are there ways that kids who don't have jobs and they don't have lots of things, what are things that they can do to practice being givers like Santa is?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that children can do, especially the young children. They can do some of their special artwork and give it to their mom and dad. They can give it to their grandparents. They can even give it to their friends. They can give it to their brothers and sisters and show everybody that you have a little appreciation. The gift of giving is so important. Mrs. Claus, you want to add something?
yeah, I think that the giving is this whole spirit of Christmas, and that's why we do what we do. And the spirit of Christmas, because it shows that we do care about other people and we want to share with other people.
And I love that idea of getting to practice to be a Santa. Now, how do you become a Santa?
Well, I think it's just natural that you become a Santa. You go to the North Pole and you get involved in all the Christmas spirit, and then all of a sudden you're doing things for everybody and you're trying to make people happy. Christmas is all about trying to make individuals happy. Appreciate what they have, not what they can expect to get, but what they have. So if you do good things and you wish well for a lot of people, then you got a good shot at ending up being a Santa or a Santa's helper.
Now, you mentioned the North Pole. That's a long way for a headquarters to be from every place else. Why did you pick the North Pole for your headquarters?
Well, the North Pole we picked for a lot of reasons. Number one, it's so far away that nobody wants to come and disrupt the proceedings at the North Pole. Number two is you can get a lot of work done when the people aren't around. And number three, the secrecy of Christmas is always kept up in the North Pole. It never leaks out of the North Pole. sometimes we have to keep track of the elves because they want to do different things. Mrs. Claus, what do you think?
I think what you said is true, very true. And we do. It's a huge place, and we have privacy, and the elves can do their jobs, the reindeer can exercise, and everybody plays games up there, and we just have a wonderful place that we can do preparations for our Christmases.
That sounds good. You know, it's a little bit strange, but I'm thinking it sounds like the North Pole is the right place for Star Wars to be filmed, so nothing leaks out. Because it seems like every place else they go, it doesn't work. But that's a little off topic. But so you spend most of the time up at the North Pole after the frenzy of Christmas. Do you take any time anywhere else?
Well, Santa and Mrs. Claus always try to make time for ourselves. We are glad to be busy at Christmas. We are glad to try to make everyone happy. But one thing Santa and Mrs. Claus do is Mrs. Claus makes sure that I try to take her someplace that's very warm.
Good plan. Do you have any favorite warm places?
Well, we like the Caribbean. We love to go to Europe. We like South America. We just pick and choose wherever we decide that year.
When you're flying all over the world on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, you get to taste a lot of the different areas of the world. So once you see what the other areas are like, you might want to go visit.
So you get a good little preview before you pick the place where you're going to go vacation.
That's so right.
What are your favorite activities to do on vacation? Because we know you're good at getting to every child and giving the right gifts and all of these wonderful giving things. What kind of things do you do when you're not doing that?
Well, Santa has a couple of favorite things to do. He loves to sit and meditate, and most of all, he loves to take a nice nap under a shade tree in a warm climate. So if Santa can be taking a nap after the rush at Christmas time, he's just very, very happy. Now, Mrs. Claus tries to get Mr. Claus, or myself, to do a lot of other things. Mrs. Claus, what do you have planned this year?
Well, this year I want to go to Punta Cana. And I want to be on the beach. I love to read. And then there's entertainment in the evening. We like to dance, and I love music. And so it's a little different than our Christmas music, so we get a chance to enjoy that.
Do you play any music?
Yes, I do.
What kind of instruments do you
I
play?
play piano, and I play bass fiddle.
That's wonderful.
And the organ.
So are these things that the elves get to hear when they're preparing for Christmas? Or?
Oh, yeah. And we have a little band. Even the elves are involved with it. And they love to play music. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I try to get them all to play songs that Santa can sing, but they don't want to play any songs because they don't want to hear Santa sing.
Oh, so there is one skill.
Santa does not sing well.
Okay. That sounds like now we are about halfway through our program. I just want to take a brief moment and remind anyone who's watching on December 5th that they can call in. The number's on your screen if you're watching on December 5th, or you can email santa@waycross.org, and I will get that email right here in the studio, and we'll be able to ask Santa your question right now during this program. And again, thank you so much for coming all the way down during this busy season. I think last year we got you a couple weeks earlier, I think, to avoid the rush. So I appreciate your coming down in December. This snow that we got really did set the stage for you. I'd like to say we were getting ready for your arrival, but I don't think our studio has quite that much influence.
Yeah, we can't predict the weather. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not near as good.
Have you had, now we know about one famous weather situation that threatened Christmas, because that's the one that Rudolph helped with. Are there any other weather situations that didn't make it into a movie for us that we should know about?
I can't think of any that were that bad that come right to our attention, but a lot of times the weather's real bleary, and sometimes it's raining a lot, sometimes it's snowing, sometimes the wind's blowing. You just have to hang in there and deal with what's sent.
Yeah, that's true. And it's good to know that nothing has ever stopped Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that's
No.
ever stopped Christmas.
Santa does have a little magic also, and that helps a lot when there are really bad weather conditions.
Yeah, it's the magic that makes it sort of the whole season sparkle.
It's the magic of
Yeah,
Christmas.
Yeah. I was looking at, and of course before Christmas we make lists of what are the hot toys, and different stores make lists of what are the hot toys. And I was looking at some of those, and I noticed that I see some new things, and I see some of the same things we've always seen. We see Legos, we see building toys, we see science toys, and we see Hot Wheels, which are not a new thing, and so it's kind of exciting that they're still going. And are there any particular toys you're seeing kind of rise to the top this year?
Well, I think it depends on the age group that you're talking about. Sometimes the Hot Wheels are just so important to the young children that like to play with things on the floor. You get a little bit older, there's a lot of toys that are more scientifically related, and those children that like the scientific toys are probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 to 12 or 13. And then when you get a little bit older than that, you get a lot more technical with the toys. It's unbelievable how many children want telephones for Christmas. The number of telephones, it's hard to keep up with that. Santa has a basic rule that he doesn't really think anybody under 12 to 13 should have a telephone. I think you probably should be somewhere around at least the 7th, probably the 8th grade before you get some of the toys. You can get in trouble with some of the toys. You have to be careful.
That's true. You know, Santa, I think we have another phone call. It looks like Denaya, which I love because it sounds so similar to my name. Denaya, are you on the phone?
Yes.
Did I say your name right, Denaya?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. I always like to try. Denaya is 7, and she's calling us from Cincinnati.
Hi, Denaya.
Hi.
Hello.
What kind of
Hi.
questions do you have for Santa Claus?
I want Robux from Roblox.
Oh, we talked about blocks. These are
Yes,
Roblox. Is there
yes.
another kind of block?
Yeah.
Oh, there's all different types of blocks, but roadblocks are a lot of fun. How about, do you like to read?
Yes.
How about if Santa gets you some books for Christmas?
Okay.
I think Santa thinks every child should get at least one book for Christmas and probably more, because that's the way that you get to the point that you know a lot more things.
Okay.
What other questions? Do you have any for Mrs. Claus?
How's the North Pole?
Oh, Mrs. Claus, you were there earlier this morning. What did you think about the North Pole?
Very, very cold, and it was snowing there also. So we had a wonderful transition here because it's kind of cold here, and there is snow also.
What else do you want to know, Denaya?
Okay.
What do you
How's
have?
Rudolph?
You have more questions?
Yes.
What do you want to say?
How is Rudolph?
Good question.
Oh, Rudolph's very, very well this time of the year. He's getting really excited about coming all around the world to see all the children. He makes this time of the year very special for himself, and he tries to get all of the other reindeer very enthusiastic about what's going to happen.
Oh.
Is that your mom? Is that your mama with you, Denaya?
Yes.
Has she been good?
Yes.
Have you been good?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you always pick up all your toys?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Oh.
She has good
That
answers for
is
these.
very
I like
good
this.
news. Yeah. Very nice.
We want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Denaya.
Wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
and we really
you.
appreciate you calling in and talking with Santa.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for calling, Denaya. I'm so glad you called. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
That was, and you see, there's still time to call Santa if you're watching this on December 5th while we're live. Numbers on your screen. And I was thinking, you were talking about those high-tech toys. And actually, I will tell the viewers, we have a crew that includes a whole lot of students from Winton Woods. I suspect they may have phones on their Christmas lists. They're running cameras, and they're not going to tell me right now, but I'm suspecting that. With the shops, now traditionally, your Santa shops are known for making wooden toys and, you know, little trains and things like that. Are your shops set up so that they can make things like smartphones?
Mrs. Claus, you want to tell about how we train all the elves?
Yes. I mentioned before that our elves all have different jobs to do. And we have training schools at the North Pole that they go through, and they learn how to make computers and little laptops and things like that, and special phones and different editions so that everybody can eventually get what they want. So they're trained to do all sorts of special skills. Yeah.
That's exciting, because we always see just the images, and I know they're traditional old-fashioned images of elves making rag dolls. Let's see, we've got all kinds of things like this. Elves making rag dolls and little wooden blocks and trains, but that's not what's on everybody's list. So this is the right toy for someone. Yes. But someone else has something else on their list.
It's really interesting about the making of the toys. All of the elves that seem to make the toys, like the rag dolls and the wooden trains and all types of other wooden toys, seem to have a lot of fun. They enjoy making the things and try to come up with new toys that they can make out of wood, toys that they never would have thought of a long time ago. And then there's a little bit of frustration for the elves that do the technical toys. Sometimes they have run into problems and have to get some special additional training. So that's when we send them back to school.
Okay, well, I think any of us that do anything with the technical toys at any age find out that they can be frustrating. and these things don't get frustrating at all. So there's something for us to remember in that, I think. Thank you for mentioning that difference. I think that probably would help a lot of us. I think that, and I'm going to take a quick check while we're talking, because I want to make sure I don't miss anyone's emails. If you're watching this live on December 5th, you can email santa@waycross.org. So, and you see I'm checking. Actually, let's see, amazingly, I just timed that. I have one here. I have an email from Ms. Collins, and it says, I'm curious, of all the cookies that are left out for you, what are your favorite? And someone's going for extra points here. What if I left you ice cream to go with your cookies? Would you prefer that? Everyone also leaves out milk, so do you get extra points for ice cream?
Well, Santa loves ice cream, but he doesn't always eat ice cream when he has his nice furry suit on. He has to be extremely careful. One of his favorite ice creams is chocolate, and chocolate dribbled down the front of my fur just wouldn't be right. As far as cookies go, Santa likes, his favorite cookie is every kind of cookie that there is. I like snickerdoodles. I have a hard time saying that word. Snickerdoodles, I like chocolate chip, I like sugar cookies, gingerbread cookies. I like all types of cookies. Mrs. Claus knows what I like the best, though.
And what is it okay? Is this
No,
a secret, or can we know?
it's a secret. We have to keep some secrets.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a secret.
So we don't know what Mrs. Claus's special secret cookie is, but we do know chocolate ice cream is a favorite, but not great for white fur. So, and actually, I believe we have a call from a young man named Liam. Liam is calling us all the way from New York State. And Liam, are you there?
Yeah.
Liam, would you like to go ahead and talk to Santa?
Yeah.
Hi, Liam. How are you?
Good.
Are you a good boy today?
Uh-huh.
How about other days?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much snow do you have in New York? A lot?
2 feet.
Yeah. When I came through there this morning, it looked like the snow was really deep.
Yeah, did you visit Hayden Hopsticker?
No, that's on the list. That's on the list, but We may have stopped there already. I can't remember. We stopped so
We
many
have-
places.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we may have been there.
I
Yeah, Hayden said he saw you yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then if Hayden said he saw me, then he's probably
Daddy
right.
did. Mm-hmm.
Now, what kind of questions do you have for Santa Claus?
What I wanted for Christmas was a snowmobile, dirt bike, Minecraft bow, and Minecraft pajamas and clothes.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That sounds like a nice list. I don't know if we can bring you everything, but we'll try.
Thank you.
Yeah, who's that there with you? Is that your daddy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he been good?
Yeah. My sister's here too.
Oh,
How is your little your little sister?
Yeah, can she tell you her list?
Sure.
Just anything, sweetie. Say one thing. Oh, purple. I think I know.
What's your Liam? What's your sister's name?
Ellie.
Elise. Can you tell Santa what you want? Do you want a doll baby?
She wants pink high heels, pink heart,
Oh, pink heart.
pillow.
She likes everything pink. Does she like pretty clothes?
Does she like pretty clothes?
And she wants a heart pillow that says love.
Oh, that'd be very nice.
Sounds
And a
kind of-
present for makeup. No.
I think she's trying to tell you.
yeah.
Well, Liam, it's a good thing that you're helping her.
Can you tell them not to forget your cousins Jack
No.
and Connor?
Don't forget my cousins Jack and Connor.
Okay.
Nice.
That's
We'll make sure that Jack and Connor get a lot of presents. We talked to them a little earlier.
Oh, you did. You talked to
Oh, cool.
I'll tell you what, it's a little warmer out where they are than it is where you are.
them. Yeah, that's for sure.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
I like the dirt bike idea. That keeps you outside. That's a
Oh,
fun,
yeah.
That's a fun thing.
It's a lot of fun to play outside. Do you have your sled out already?
What?
Have you used your sled yet this year?
Yep, and skis and cross-country skis.
Oh, you've been skiing both downhill and cross country.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's good. That's a lot of fun.
On Saturday, I'm going to a race up on Gore. My dad's going to try to take a day off so we can go on a gondola. But the race is only cross-country, not alpine.
Well, that'll be nice. Do you practice a lot for cross country?
Yeah, usually on cross-country days. We used to do it before December. We used to do Tuesdays and Thursdays. But when we started December, now we're doing Mondays and Thursdays.
Well, that's good.
That's good use for all that snow.
Yes, and it's great exercise for you. That's wonderful.
And we like to swim in Elk Lake.
Oh, Elk Lake's a nice place.
Yes.
Uh-huh. That's where my grandma and grandpa live. One of my grandma and grandpas has one house in Indiana, in Greencastle, and one in Michigan, and one of my other grandpas and grandpas only have Greencastle in Indiana.
Well, that's nice. You get to visit the warm weather in the summertime. Anything else you want to ask Santa Claus?
I was trying to find this up. We didn't find up on the internet. It's in my Town of Web School Go Eskimos. It was a green dolphin with like rainbow spots on it.
Wow,
That sounds
Different.
great.
Yeah.
that sounds nice.
Thank you, Santa.
Thank you, Liam, for calling.
Thank you.
Thanks for your call. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
To you. Yeah.
That's so great that we've had calls from the span of the whole United States and right here in Cincinnati.
East Coast, West Coast, and right here in
That's
Cincinnati.
fantastic. And I'm really impressed that he does that much cross-country skiing
Yes.
because I have done cross-country skiing and it's exhausting and really hard.
It
so
is hard.
I'm very impressed. If you are still watching, I'm very impressed that you do that 2 days a week all the time. That's very impressive.
That's a lot of exercise, yeah.
And it's outdoors.
Yes, it
and
is.
I love that.
Nice. Yes.
There's so many fun things to do in the winter, and I think when it gets cold, we want to kind of bundle up. And I like a fireplace and a blanket and a pillow and maybe a cup of tea. But there's a lot of really fun things to do in the cold outdoor time too.
That's right.
Are there any of these sports, either winter or summer? Are there any sports that you like to do, Santa?
Santa would like to do all the sports, but this time of the year he's so busy. It's kind of hard to stay up. But Santa gets on the treadmill when he's up in the North Pole because it's too cold for Santa to go outside all day long. But the treadmill and the rowing machine are probably Santa's two favorites.
I would imagine that you need to be in very good shape for December 24th.
Well, it's important to be in good shape, but if I slack off a little bit, the elves keep me going.
Okay. So besides Mrs. Claus, you have a whole North Pole full of helpers to keep you on track.
That's correct. We've got a very tremendous staff of elves and Santa's helpers that keep everything moving as smooth as possible.
Now, when you take your break after the holiday, do the elves get a break too?
Yes.
Yeah, the elves they're glad to see Santa and Mrs. Claus go away because they take a break at the same time. They don't always go off to warmer climates, but they get some time off. They enjoy their time off.
And I imagine that they are sad to see you go on break, but I'm sure that they appreciate it. So I want to imagine what kind of things they're doing in their time off. Or maybe they don't want you to know what they're doing in their time off. Could that be?
No, we know what they're doing. Yes,
you have lists. You know. There's no secrets.
They love ice skating, and they do like to do skiing, downhill, cross country. They have wonderful things that they do in the winter time when they have off time.
Because I'm surrounded by toys, and so I'm thinking about toys, and of course Christmas you're going to fill up your bag with toys. You have been moving toys for hundreds of years. Do you have any toys that stick out as favorite toys, things that you wish you had a whole bag full of because they were your favorites? Or are there just new things all the time that you think, oh, this is the best thing I've ever seen?
Well, there are always new things, and some of the new technical things just fascinate Santa Claus. Santa Claus has to have the elves show him how to use a lot of the toys. So Santa likes a lot of the old toys, especially the building blocks. Santa always liked to have the building blocks. He loved to take those to the children. Now the new toys with Lego blocks, different things in different colors, it's a lot more probably educational than it was with the old wooden building blocks like we have.
Yeah, you can't. I'm in a TV studio, of course, but you can't keep me away from toys, so I have these. These are not, Legos. They do all kinds of neat things now. They have Lego kits that go with your science experiments, and they're fantastic. These don't do that. They're colorful, though, and I like them, and they're fun to play with.
Oh, they're a lot of fun.
So the building toys. I still see the building toys show up on top toy lists, even today.
Yeah, I think the building toys are always going to be there. I think the educational aspect of the building toys make them an important thing for children to work with. It's always good to see the children take an active role in their own education. Mrs. Claus, do you like to say things about education?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's one of my favorite topics, and it's one of the things that I like to send the elves off to. And I taught at their schools, too. So I've had a big experience with the teaching, and they're very polite, and I think children need to know that they should be polite to their teachers and show some respect, just like they do with their parents.
I think one thing that Santa really likes to emphasize about education and when you're in school is the education's probably the single most important thing that you'll deal with until you get older. And it's not important for everybody to get A's all the time. What's really important for everybody to do when they're in school is to work the hardest they can possibly work and do the best they can do. when Santa was in school, and even when I take classes now, sometimes Santa's just glad to get a C, or sometimes if he's lucky, he gets B's. But Santa has a hard time in school sometimes too.
I think that's important for kids to know, that the letter on the paper is not the thing that says they learned a lot. It's a good thing to practice for and to try for, but I think it's important to know that's not the thing that's the most important. That's not the learning part. Right. So I think that's important. I have an email because our crew have wishes too. So I have an email from a young man named Jason who would like to know if he can have a new ICOM headset and also a pasta attachment for his KitchenAid mixer. But he is here working hard tonight on our crew, so I figure I should probably go ahead and pass that on for him.
Jason, I see you in the background waving. I don't know about getting all of your presents, but I think the headphone thing might be a possibility. Depends on what we can do with the other electronic stuff. And the attachment for your mixer at home, we'll work on that, but no promises.
I think if Jason promises to use the pasta attachment for maybe the rest of us to sample,
Sounds good.
That might be something. Just a thought.
Very good.
That would be nice, but Santa again has to be very careful. Santa goes a lot of places where people want to feed him, and they always want to feed him lasagna or spaghetti. Can't you see Santa eating spaghetti with sauce dripping down his white fur?
Yeah,
Boy, that would be a sight.
That sounds colorful, if nothing else.
Yes.
It would be okay. You have red here, but yeah, that might not be good. On fur, it's hard to clean.
Oh, it's very hard to clean. Sometimes even when Santa gets it in his beard, it's hard to get out of his beard.
Yeah.
And I actually, since we got Mr. Jason's email, I do want to say, as all the shoots that we do in the studio at Waycross, we have an entire crew of volunteers here who've taken their time, and they're pretty excited because this is the most exciting shoot of the year that we do here. This is the most international guest we have, is when we have Santa live in our studio. So that's pretty exciting. And we have entire crews of volunteers, students, and grown-ups who are spending their evening here to make sure that all the kids get a chance to talk to you today. So I want to thank them for that. That is really appreciated.
We'd like to thank all the crew and support people for making our visit so pleasurable.
Yes.
One of the things that Santa likes to say, and I think we still have time to do this before Dana gives the final send-off, is it's really important for everybody to try to be their best. Be the best whatever you can do. Be honest. Be faithful to your family and your friends. And make sure that you show examples of your love for your fellow friends and your family. It's really important. Make sure you hug your grandmas and grandpas, and make sure you give kisses and hugs to your mom and dad.
And I think we've talked about this a little bit, but I just want to end with, we say the spirit of Christmas, and we say it's so special this time of year, the spirit of Christmas. And can you, Mrs. Claus, can you explain what that means, the spirit of Christmas?
Yes, when I think about the spirit, I think about believing and having an open mind and accepting everyone else that you come in contact with. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves to have that respect and to feel important. That's the way I feel. And I think everyone is also praying for peace in the world.
And it's easy to see why we say we should have a Christmas spirit year-round, because those are things that we would want to have year-round. Those are things that we'd hate to keep just squished into a few weeks out of the year.
It's not only at Christmas time you have those feelings. It's the start of the feeling so that you can keep it going all year long. It's very, very important.
That might be one of the things that makes the season so important, is that it reminds us every year that we need a boost, I think. I don't know about you. And you get reminded every day. It is Christmas every day for you. Everywhere you look at the North Pole, it's Christmas. But some of us a little further south of that, which is everyone, we need to be reminded. We need trees and lights and sparkles to remind us those things. So I want to thank you so much for coming. Is there anything else you want to make sure you get to say to the kids before you go back to the North Pole?
I think Santa would like to wish all the kids a Merry Christmas and practice everything that you need to do to make people happy. It's all about making other people happy. So put on your happy face and treat everyone kindly.
And how about you, Mrs. Claus?
And I think that's the same for me. I think everybody deserves to be treated nicely, and you don't want to be on that naughty list.
Oh, that's key. It comes back to the naughty list. We learned at the beginning, if we learn nothing else tonight, it's not too late to get off the naughty list. So keep that in mind. We're only 20 days from Christmas. Now's the time to be thinking about this. And now's a great time to be thinking about that every day, so next year you're not worried about being on the naughty list. There's an idea. Thank you so much for coming. And I want to thank any of the kids that called in, and thank you for emailing. It was really appreciate that you took the time to do that, because we were able to ask your questions to Santa right here in the studio tonight. You're watching Talking with Santa in the Waycross Community Media Studio, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Merry Christmas,
everybody.
everyone.